The news of the disappearance of two rankers in South Korea has already spread. A woman with silver hair mentions that this issue will only be urgent if it becomes a problem for their plans. Hee-in-jae agrees with her since Noah and Ri-yit are also staying in Korea at that time. What makes it better is that Evelyn Miller, this silver-haired woman, is also now a part of the Seeseon Guild. Hee-in-jae says that everyone else is already trying to expand their influence due to what happened. The woman replies that this is only to be expected. Hee-in-jae looks at his drink as he announces that they will take out the rotten parts of society since even the association crossed the line. He smiles, claiming that their bait is already prepared. Evelyn looks at Hee-in-jae curiously and asks if the other is referring to Yoojin Hun, though she already knows of his skills. This still does not erase her doubts. Hee-in-jae reassures Evelyn that even she will find this amusing. Evelyn mentions how So-hyeon Kang was surprised by the previous dungeon incident since Hee-in-jae seems to be having fun recently. So-hyeon also noted how their guildmaster is close to Yoojin. This makes Evelyn wonder how an F-class can be close to Hee-in-jae without becoming afraid. You will soon understand once you personally meet him, Evelyn. Hee-in-jae admits that this is what makes Yoojin uniquely interesting. He will not describe the other as bold since a different term seems to suit Yoojin better. As they are having their chat, the object of their conversation is busy hacking someone else at that moment. Yoojin's fluid movements made his enemies see red. These hunters are obviously surprised since it is common knowledge that Yoojin only recently awakened. They try their best to hold their ground and fight back against this F-class, but their attacks are easily deflected by a barrier. They can only curse before getting attacked with a kick and a slash. Another hunter creeps behind Yoojin with his hand on fire, but his yelling only makes our MC aware of his presence. Seriously, that's just dumb of the enemy. Before Yoojin can retaliate, the enemy shoves Yoojin's head to the ground, making Yoojin lose his weapon. The hunter is smug about how Yoojin's defense item cannot do anything against that kind of attack and intends to use another method to end Yoojin. A large paw suddenly pounces on the hunter, stopping the hunter from making good his threat. Peace intervenes, but Yoojin only instructs the magic beast to leave the guide to him since Peace is responsible for clearing up the dungeon later. Yoojin picks up his weapon and dashes to where the enemy is as he shouts that he still has a bone to pick with those pieces of craps. Going back to Hee-in-jae and Evelyn, the Seeseon Guildmaster mentions how Yoojin has clean records, and it was even reported that Yoojin indeed lived a regular life before. But this does not change the fact that Yoojin sometimes gives off a different vibe. It is as if he already has experience as a Grim Reaper. Back to our MC, he's indeed giving that vibe at that exact moment. Yoojin wipes his face as he mentions how he can do this even without the help of the final thanks skill. Surrounding Yoojin are the remains of the Ghost Sun team. He looks up as he thinks of how much he fought back in his previous life. Compared to before, his stats in this life are better due to his equipment. He also does not have to worry about taking damage because of Yunhee, and he even brought peace with him. Considering that he also has 5 years of experience, this outcome is expected. Yoojin looks down and thinks about how it would be common sense to call the police regarding this matter. Still, he knows this will not change a thing because the association is involved. He thinks of leaving Dongwon Lee alive to dig deeper into the association, but quickly thinks otherwise, since that could serve as evidence that could implicate him. Peace walks to Yoojin, who finally concludes that he should just accept how things are now since it is his fault that he cannot easily forget. He thinks of the resentment that carried over from his previous life and rubs Peace as comfort. Yoojin apologizes to Peace for letting him see such a scene. Well, if Peace took over for you, it might be a more horrifying sight. Yoojin figures that once they clear the dungeon, its reset will work in his favor. The remains will disappear along with it, ensuring that there will be no evidence of what happened inside. After some time, Hyeol regains consciousness. He sees Yoojin and begins talking about those people, but he gets no further when he realizes he is actually lying on top of Peace. Yoojin takes the initiative to talk about what happened, making an excuse of how those people were taken by the association. And there is no need to worry since they will never be involved with Hyeol again. He says that he simply stayed behind so that he could level up Peace. Yoojin tells Hyeol that they were instructed to keep everything under wraps, but Hyeol is more focused on the fact that he is writing Peace. What a true fanboy, with a face filled with happiness. Hyeol promises to keep what happened a secret and keep this as a precious memory. Seeing the celebrity's expression, Yoojin cannot help thinking how bright Hyeol is despite what he went through. Hyeol keeps a smile on his face as he continues to slump over Peace. He is actually aware of what happened back there. With a shield above him, Hyeol saw Yoojin fight back against the other hunters and what he did to ensure they kept their lives. Hyeul smiles with fondness, knowing full well that Yoojin did it to protect him. In his head, he calls Yoojin a dark hero. Free from worry, Hyeul promises to keep Yoojin's secret and even asks our MC if he can call him Hyun. Yoojin agrees despite his hesitation, and another one joins the club. Lil Bro will surely grow more jealous once he learns of this. As they got out of the dungeon, they took appropriate actions to remove any evidence that may indicate what transpired in their phones. Unbeknownst to them, they will further get involved with one another in the future. After the incident, Yoojin finally finds time to rest in his room with peace by his side. He checks on his skills, particularly the final Phoenix, which was previously called Last Repayment, if you're confused by the name change. Yoojin refers to what it was called before regressing. Yoojin recalls his past when Yeonjin Kim mocked him for even hoping that he would be left alone if he sucked up to them. Yoojin managed to retaliate back then and took his tormentor's life. It was then that his ability as a caregiver and his skill, Last Repayment, got activated. The death of Yeonjin made it possible for him to inherit twice the stats and ability effects of the deceased. The other hunters were surprised by the death of their leader and the sudden manifestation of power by an F-ranker. Yoojin admits to himself that this skill made it possible for him to keep on living. He honestly thought that he would be able to keep his distance from a particular someone in this life as he looked at his phone. Yoojin sits up as he dials a number and calls that person. Who's that? A significant other from his previous life? Someone answers his call, and hearing that voice makes Yoojin happy and relieved that the other is alive. Despite the torment of his past life, there were still people who helped him out back then. There were also those who died. He recalls a close friend who gave him encouraging words during those hard times. Yoojin honestly never thought that he would hear that voice ever again. He recalls how that same person died in his arms while telling him to run. The voice on the other end of the call asks who the caller it is. Yoojin pauses, and after a short while, he apologizes for dialing the wrong number. He wishes the other person a great day for the rest of his life. In a way, the other person is indeed significant for our MC. Finding such reliable friends is really rare. Yoojin ends the call with that, thinking how they do not know each other in this life. Despite this, he recalls the challenging and dangerous times they have shared. Yoojin believes that opening the Awakening Center will only repeat the past, making a huge mess for everyone, especially for those people he crossed paths with in his previous life. Yoojin looks out as the outside begins to fill with the light of a new day. He makes his decision not to leave things alone since he could never bring himself to forget about it. With that in mind, Yoojin heads to the Haeyeon Guild that same morning to meet his brother and Shimyoung Seok. He apologizes for meeting them early and immediately gets to the point of discussing the Awakening Center. Shimyoung tries to dissuade him about it, but Yoojin does not let him finish. Yoojin announces that if the point is to look for Awakened with high ranking, then he will search for them faster than the Awakening Center could. Wait, is he planning to? This surprises Shimyoung, and Yoojin continues that there are different methods of awakening people that suit them instead of being forced into combat. Unlike Shimyoung, Yoo Hyun's surprise is more agitated. He asks his big bro if he will reveal it. Not letting his little bro finish, Yoojin declares the existence of his hidden skill and officially requests the aid of his brother's guild in slowing down the Awakening Center's advancement. Yoojin intends to make full use of his S-rank skill, promising Sprout, and that day marks the beginning of the association's great upheaval. MC is really fed up with KHA's corruption. Inside a large public building, people are being categorized by their class as they walk along, minding their own lives. Some are E class, another is D, and one gets ranked as C class with a specialization in fluid speaking. Yoojin looks over as he uses his skill, promising Sprout while holding onto a mana bottle. Yerim also looks over, confirming that the person Yoojin just checked is a famous online tutor. Yoojin comments on how befitting that person's job is. But then again, it does not change how other people are also looking at their group. Yoojin is a bit puzzled about how their supposedly small group became big. Yerim, the tasked bodyguard for Yoojin, drools over dessert as she claims it is fine since they are drawing a lot of attention. On one side of their table, So-yeong is gushing fondly at Noah, who finds himself in a predicament with unwanted attention. Right, Yerim did promise an introduction as payment for So-yeong's help from Chapter 96. So, our pretty boy is being used as a sacrifice. As for the Breaker Guild's guildmaster, Hyuna Amun, she is the group's bystander. Hyuna is curious about Yoojin's skills and keeps asking him questions. The skill he is using lets him unravel the potential awakening of the target. On top of that, it has a 30-day limit of allowing a target to achieve optimal awakening if influenced by the keywords. Yoojin never revealed his promising sprout skill to the public, aside from his beloved lil bro. Until now. Going back to that day, Yoojin opened up the topic to Yoon and Shimyeon. Shimyeon is so utterly surprised by the revelation that he cannot help shaking. In his eyes, Yoojin is shining more than ever. Shimyeon asked if Yoojin found Yerim and Miyamwoo using that skill of his, feeling smug. Yoojin says it was only half a coincidence and claims he will offer to use his skill to cooperate with the association. Hearing this, Yoon pulls on a rope with menacing eyes while scolding his brother about his promise to rest. Knowing what his younger brother is up to, Yoojin tells him to put the rope away. Yoojin then explains his plan to divide the people heading to the Awakening Center. If those people choose Yoojin, the procedure will be longer, but in exchange, they will be able to identify their optimal skills. Aside from this, those with high-rank specialized skills will be aided in awakening by controlling their environment. Shimyeon mulls over it, mentioning how it will indeed diminish the number of people heading directly to the Awakening Center, since they can have the option of unlocking skills by choosing the path Yoojin offers. The only problem with this is that Yoojin will have a lot more on his plate, and Yoon does not like that one bit, so he quickly ties up his brother. Lil bro is really overprotective. Yoojin shouts pleadingly to be understood. He says he will only be checking, and the rest of the work will be delegated to others. Yoojin claims it will only take 10 seconds per person, so he can just work on this for 1 hour per day. Since that got settled, it led to the present chill method of classifying people's ranks. Looking at the data he has gathered so far, Yoojin can tell that more than half of the people he checked are above rank E. He recalls his previous life, where only 1% of those who went to the Awakening Center got their hunter qualifications. Watching the people around him, Yoojin concludes that a lot of talents got buried because of what happened. Yoojin thinks he should advertise it as if one has a 99% chance of failing if they choose to awaken through the Awakening Center, while going directly to him gives a person a 50% chance of awakening to E class up to S class. Even though Yoojin thinks of it as a good idea, it does not alleviate the feeling of sickness from drinking too much potion. But there's an issue that Yoojin didn't account for, and that is the chairman's reaction to such news. Here's another short flashback. In the KHA, the chairman happily presents Yoojin with an obviously altered certificate assigning Yoojin as the Awakening Center's representative. The chairman claims that every visitor to the center will have to go through Yoojin first. Realizing it is an obvious ploy to overwork him, Yoojin rejects the chairman and even uses his lack of mana due to his class. The chairman doesn't really care about such details and simply holds Yoojin's shoulder while irresponsibly claiming that Yoojin can do it. This guy really should be removed from his position. The chairman smiles, saying that Yoojin is a young man who should work for the good of society. He even gives an example by claiming that he only gets home once the sun rises. I swear, the chairman is wild grass who can't easily die. Such words do not affect Yoojin, so with bright eyes, he announces that he is quitting. Going back to the present, Yoojin honestly did not expect things to head that way, and Hyuna is laughing at his predicament of facing off with the greedy association chairman. She then asks Yoojin if he is really planning to quit on this. Tired, Yoojin raises another mana potion to his mouth while claiming that he must find another way. He lists other options in his hands while Hyuna listens to him. Hyuna then says that the chairman won't easily give up on this. Yerim looks at the guildmaster and asks what she means. Instead of directly answering, Hyuna asks Yoojin how many high-rank potentials he already found in the past few days. Yoojin thinks about it and says he found 7 B-rankers with specialized skill potentials and a combat class A-ranker and B-ranker potential. Yoojin mentions how he sent those combat class potentials to the Awakening Center, and they were able to successfully awaken. Hyuna points out that this is exactly why. Yoojin was already able to create an upper-middle-class team in the few days he started. Hyuna describes Yoojin's skill as scary, and compared to his monster-raising skill, it does not even take much money. She explains how Yoojin can even use it to create a guild and become one of the major players in the field. But MC is more focused on getting everyone ready for further destruction, and you wouldn't want to compete with Lil Bro over such things. Hyuna is amused, despite knowing how the association must be racking their brains to find a way to bind Yoojin to them. This makes Yerim stand up and announce that the association cannot do as it pleases since they are there, and they wouldn't let anything happen to Yoojin. So Idong readily agrees, saying that Yoojin still has to raise her comet. Yoojin is a bit relieved and expresses his thanks, but Hyuna is still skeptical. Hyuna says that if the association cannot directly meddle with Yoojin, then they will go to the next best thing. She mentions how the association is already working on it with Yoojin's brother as the target. This statement gets Yoojin's attention, and he asked about it. Yerim tries to change the subject, but Hyuna says it is a family matter. She then asks Yoojin if he really is unaware and if he has even been checking the news on the internet. Yoojin scratches his head as he explains how he does not like the comment section in such sources, so he usually watches the news on TV. Hyuna raises her phone up for Yoojin to see while calling him old-fashioned. Yoojin is startled by the news that his brother is suspected of causing the fire of the Sudam Guild's A-rank dungeon, his brother's absence in the association conference after an S-rank dungeon raid, and how Yoon reportedly destroyed a foster facility. Right, Yoon fake news happens in their world. This doesn't surprise me anymore. Hyuna says that these were all just recent. She explains how S-rankers would typically be able to get away with most issues they created as long as no civilian is harmed in the process. This is because having a dangerous image will only create unease and tension among the people. And recently, the media has not done any of that for Yoojin's brother. Yerim worriedly asks Hyuna if this is how the association will make Yoon a bad guy if they do not receive the cooperation that they expect from Yoojin. Noah says that this is more of an urging from the media to have the sibling take on the responsibility that his brother is doing. He knows this, for he experienced it himself, and says that the existence of an S-ranker is that deadly. At that exact moment, in another part of the city, black flames engulf a piece of paper, leaving no trace of its existence. Yoon looks at this and leaves the meeting he has with the association. He is surprised to find Taewon's song on the other side of the door, looming over him. Back to Yoojin and his current companions, Noah and Hyun explain how the association plans to use Hyun to manipulate Yoojin into action. They are really going low just to get their hands on our MC. Hyuna says that she is sure that Yoojin will not be controlled just like that. But since the chairman is a snake, it won't take long before something bad really happens. Just then, Hyuna's phone buzzes upon receiving an emergency text about a high ranker in rage mode within the nearby area. Everyone is surprised by the message, and even Yoojin finds the timing too perfect. Yerim then points to a television showing news about the Haeyeon Guildmaster purposely destroying a part of the association building. The news announces how a K-shaped building near the Awakening Center is destroyed. Everyone is surprised by the news, and Hyuna says she should have warned them earlier. Unexpectedly, Yoojin remains unfazed as he claims that his brother did no such thing. Hyuna is surprised by this and asks how Yoojin can even tell. Yoojin's eyes shine as he confidently says that if his brother is truly responsible for such an incident, then he wouldn't have destroyed only a small part of it. Only Big Bro knows his lil bro's heart so well. With that, Yoojin declares that he should head there immediately. He then instructs Noah to give him a ride. The S-ranker does not hesitate to follow his instructions and changes into his dragon form. Everyone around them pulls up their phone to record this moment. Yoojin quickly rides Noah as soon as he becomes a dragon, and the two fly off the sky. The rest of their companions are left on their own, with Yerim feeling disappointed, So-yeong being excited, and Hyuna mentioning how Yoojin should be resting. As for Yoojin, he is thinking of how underhanded the association is by using his brother. He promises to himself that he will make an example of them for doing such despicable actions. Rains fall from the sky as the dragon form Noah flies into the air. Yoojin proves to be used to such activity as he talks on the phone. When Yoojin ends the call, Noah asks if he is sure about this. Yoojin replies that he will take responsibility for whatever may happen. He cannot shake off the feeling that every atrocious action that his younger brother does is because he is worried for Yoojin. Well, that's how much Lil Bro loves you, Big Bro. Yoojin knows that having his brother standing shaken will not make things any different from what happened in his previous life. He won't let his brother suffer the same fate because of him. As he mulls over this, Yoojin and Noah arrive at the fire incident scene. A man burning paper asks if the fire is good enough and comments on how the rain makes it hard for the fire to spread. Another man says it's good enough since they can't let the Awakening Center catch fire since the association only tasked them with destroying a separate building. Destroying too much only means they won't get paid for their job. Big Bro got it right. His lil bro is not involved in such a measly fire. A voice comments on how they are really only burning a small part. Yoojin gently drops to the ground with Noah's aid and comments on how things only look sensational because of the angle from which it was taken by the media. The men tasked with destroying are surprised and confused at the appearance of Yoojin Hun. They even made sure the pathways leading there were blocked, and yet here he is. Yoojin quickly gets to the point, asking them if the association hired them. In that short moment, Noah knocks the men out and ties them up together. Noah smiles proudly as he asks Yoojin if he did a good job. Yoojin is bewildered by Noah's fast actions, but since they're done, Yoojin makes the best out of it. He takes out his phone and takes a selfie with the tied-up goons. It's a good proof, really. Suddenly, reporters start to swarm them and take pictures of Yoojin at the scene. They bombard him with questions about his brother and ask him for comments. Yoojin speaks up, saying that this incident wasn't caused by his brother and was made by those people they've caught. But the media isn't listening to Yoojin. Instead, they question if those people were hurt by the Heian Guild Master. This surprises Yoojin, and rather than waiting for his answer, the reporters keep asking questions that clearly implicate that Yoo Hee-yoon Hun is a dangerous and unreasonable high-ranked hunter. Yoojin tries to defend his brother, but the reporters won't even let him finish. They keep on questioning Yoojin in a way that incriminates his younger brother. The camera lights and the incessant questions make Yoojin pause. Seriously, the association even bought the media just to mess with the brothers. Noah is about to explain things to Yoojin, and Yoojin cuts him off, saying he understands the current situation. He knows the media isn't exactly there to report what happened. Yoojin is aware that those people are there to trap him with the conclusion they already have in mind. It doesn't escape him that all of these are all set up by the association chairman. In a different K-ship building, Yoo Hee-yoon confronts Taewon about the false incidents and the fact that he is keeping him there. He asks if Taewon is also a part of this lowly plan. With a grim look, Taewon asks Yoo Hee-yoon for a personal favor, which is to not give more ammunition to the association against him. Yoo Hee-yoon tells Taewon to explain, and Taewon reveals his knowledge of Yoo Hee-yoon purposely doing such things so that the association focuses on him. Taewon is well aware of a particular force in the KHA that wants Yoojin and how Yoo Hee-yoon also schemes to destroy all of them if they even dare to breathe the wrong way against his brother. As if to compromise, Taewon says that he will prevent this by requesting a correction report on the recent incident. All he asks in return is Yoo Hee-yoon's cooperation in this matter. Brah, I doubt a single report can fix everything. Yoo Hee-yoon taps at the tablet where the most recent news is and glares at Taewon, who is only willing to conceal the disgusting parts of the association and hope that it doesn't get exposed to the public. Finding the whole conversation pointless, Yoo Hee-yoon stands up to leave. He announces that he doesn't care if Taewon will keep on being the association's dog because what matters to him the most is his brother's safety, and Yoo Hee-yoon is willing to do whatever he can to keep it that way. Hearing that statement, Taewon stands up and asks Yoo Hee-yoon if that is the reason why he has slain Hyung-soo. Yoo Hee-yoon doesn't look back and simply tells Taewon to bring that up with the CC-on Guildmaster, implying that he and Jae could have taken care of that matter within the dungeon himself. Taewon reaches out and tries to stop Yoo Hee-yoon from leaving, but the Heian Guildmaster retaliates by unleashing his flames before Taewon can even touch him. Yoo Hee-yoon repeats what Taewon said about it being a personal favor. He then looks back with surging black flames, asking if the association purposely made Taewon delay him there. With a smile, Yoo Hee-yoon says he can burn everything there to ashes to turn the false claims into something true. Despite the display of power, Taewon remains unfazed and stands up to his full height, asking if Yoo Hee-yoon is threatening him. Yoo Hee-yoon continues to glare and says that he is only holding himself back. Looking at how Yoo Hee-yoon is acting, Taewon can't help but describe Yoo Hee-yoon as something inhuman, especially when compared to other S-rankers. Taewon asks himself why he's letting these beings roam free despite knowing that they can't exactly be bound. He believes that with the leash of the association, these S-rankers can be managed somehow. At the same time, Taewon is fully aware that the leash he's hoping to aid is already rotten, and he is stumped as to what he should really do. Well, the only thing that can really tie them down is our MC. Just then, the news playing on the tablet announces the presence of Yoojin Hun at the incident scene. Hearing his brother's name, Yoo Hee-yoon quickly stops his face-off with Taewon and grabs the tablet while shouting his brother's name. He voices out loud his thoughts of how his older brother is supposed to be taking a break. Taewon is taken aback by the sudden change in Yoo Hee-yoon at the mention of his brother. The previous menacing look on Yoo Hee-yoon's face is now filled with worry. Taewon thinks about it and recalls how this didn't just happen with Yoo Hee-yoon alone. As long as Yoojin is involved, others would also act differently than usual. This happened when Ri became calm with just a few words from Yoojin and accepted her arrest. The CC-on Guildmaster is also unusually nice to Yoojin. As for Yerim, Taewon can dismiss it since Yoojin is her guardian. There's also Hyuna, the Breaker Guildmaster, and Taewon wonders if this is because Yoojin also raises magic beasts. Taewon is actually relieved that things didn't escalate and thinks that this is why the association particularly wants Yoojin Hun since it's easier to communicate with him. That's what you believe. Don't forget that he's the one who raised Yoo Hee-yoon. But unlike what Taewon expected, Yoojin is tired of these mindless accusations regarding his brother. Noah looks back at Yoojin, asking if he is okay. Yoojin simply admits that he got it all wrong. With a wholly irritated look, Yoojin ponders on how he should have just gone straight with the easy route instead of trying to speak sense to these people. Just then, a report throws another request for Yoojin to comment on the current situation. With a sigh, Yoojin confirms that it is scary since the building looks like it is about to be destroyed entirely. Yoojin continues that this didn't happen because of his brother and that it was actually caused by an undiscovered gate nearby. This confuses the reporters since they can see for themselves that the building is actually still intact and there are no gates to be seen nearby. It's been so long since we've seen our MC pull out his acting skills for everyone to see. Yoojin can only say that the reporters probably haven't seen it yet, and he starts mentioning a giant dragon. A large shadow passes over them, and the reporters all look up and start panicking at the sight above them. Yoojin curses at them as a vast clawed dragon hand drops down behind him, causing a massive gust of wind. Yoojin tells them that if they really want to accuse his brother by using fake news, then they should have at least done a lot more than that while pointing at the destruction happening behind him. The reporters, who are finally done taking pictures of the scene, start to scramble away from the appearance of a colossal dragon as they shout that there's a dungeon break and that it could be at least an A-grade dungeon. Right. I'm guessing all of our viewers already know who this is since our MC is so calm. With a horrific smile on her dragon face, Riet greets Yoojin, calling him babe. She says that since she did him a favor, then he should make sure to raise her baby this time. In another KHA building, Taewon has a look of unbelief upon seeing the news. As for Yoo Hee-yoon, he is once again filled with admiration for his brother. Taewon sweats, realizing that Yoojin is no different from the high-rankers who give him a headache. This is why they shouldn't mess with our MC. He'll really cause mayhem if they use something against his little bro. Riet, in her huge dragon form, creates a deaf-feeling sound that makes the reporters run off for safety. Unlike them, Yoojin is celebrating how the news about his brother is all fake. Lol, that look on Noah's face speaks volumes. Riet destroys the buildings in that area, and Noah asks Yoojin if what they're doing is really okay. Yoojin smugly smiles as he explains how they have already checked that no one is in those buildings. He then directs Riet to destroy the Awakening Center while she's at it. The command makes the dragon, Riet, reveal a toothed smile and quickly announces that she will do whatever the princess wants. She and Heat and Jay really love role-playing. As the buildings get destroyed, Yoojin smiles widely at the thought of delaying the public opening of the Awakening Center. Seeing that doing such things is easy, he cannot help thinking how he should have just used this method right from the start. Riet happily tramples on the infrastructures, apparently enjoying herself and acting as a villain. Yoojin thinks how things wouldn't have to head in this direction if only the association hadn't been too greedy and simply accepted his offer. After some time, the light rain from before turned into a shower. Taewon looks at everything with a pale face as the rain pours down on him, while Yoo Hee-yoon looks around, searching for his brother. The association employees who arrived there first run towards Taewon, reporting to him how the dragon is already gone and they are still checking if there are any other monsters in the area. Yep, these employees are so low on the corporate ladder that they don't know that the dragon is actually Riet. Yoojin, who's carrying an umbrella, finally finds his brother. He quickly opens the umbrella for his big bro, asking why he is just getting soaked. Yoojin smiles at his worried little bro and mentions there is nowhere for them to take cover from the rain. Yoo Hee-yoon then asks why Yoojin is there when he already mentioned resting for the day. Yoojin explains how he saw the news about him, so he immediately went there. Yoo Hee-yoon drops the topic and says that they should head home. Yoojin invites Noah to share the umbrella with them, but Noah refuses, saying he's okay. Yoojin offers Noah a ride instead, but Yoo Hee-yoon bluntly says it's only for two, so Noah again refuses. Yep, Lil Bro is jealous. Noticing the stare at them, Yoojin merely nods at Taewon as they leave. Yoojin continues their conversation and tells Noah to just sit on his lap. This makes Noah blush, and he refuses the offer, knowing full well that someone is jealous. Seeing them leave, Taewon is a bit confused. He honestly thought that it was the S-rankers who had a leash on an F-ranker like Yoojin, like a pet to a playful child. But seeing Yoojin's interaction with his brother and Noah, Taewon can't help thinking that it is actually the other way around. It is as if an F-ranker tamed the dangerous beasts into obedience. On a drive home in an obviously four-seater car, Yoo Hee-yoon mentions his talk with Chief Officer Song and how it doesn't seem like the man is part of the association's plans. Unsurprised, Yoojin merely looks outside, saying that is just Taewon's personality. Yoojin then looks at his brother, asking Yoo Hee-yoon about how the association is meddling in his affairs. He starts talking about taking care of them, but Yoojin cuts him off. He tells him that he doesn't have to, since it is actually him who lured them into doing such things. This revelation surprises Yoojin, and he asks why his brother is doing such a thing. Yoojin answers how his older brother will only intervene if he tells him about it. Yoojin talks back, saying he'll still meddle even if Yoojin doesn't tell him. Knowing how stubborn his older brother can be, Yoojin reveals how a particular crowd within the association is trying to make a deal with a foreign country using Yoojin. What? That's just so low of them. Yoojin's response makes Yoojin pause. After mulling over it, Yoojin asks if his brother is referring to those ghastly actions of selling people and tries to confirm again if the association is truly involved with such things. When Yoojin nods, Yoojin starts cursing and saying how he actually thought that the association was planning to use him for their own political merit. Yoojin explains how the association seems to be divided into different factions within. While there are indeed people who want to do something like what Hyuna said, there are also those who must be taken care of personally by Yoojin. Lil Bro then claims that the whole thing changes if those people want to sell his brother to another nation. Yoojin is still skeptical that the association is involved in such things, adding that those humans are hunters with skills. With a pale face, he can only imagine how there are those who sell their actual nations. Still calm, Yoojin says that it is indeed treason. He then explains how revealing this to the public will surely be a blow to the association. Yoojin adds how the CCon Guildmaster asked for cooperation regarding this matter. Upon hearing about he and Jay, Yoojin doesn't hide his shock and asks where that guy's information comes from. Yoojin explains how he and Jay has connections worldwide. Don't forget his connection with the two factions fighting to determine your world's fate. Yoojin says this is his reason for provoking the association by creating various scandals. To further explain, he likens the situation to how Yoojin is extremely protected within a castle. So, to make their way to him, Yoojin made it easier for them to come after him. Yoojin mulls over this, realizing his brother's attempts are indeed working. Upon revealing his skill, there's no doubt that the association wants him more. Despite this, he knows his brother's reputation is being shredded into pieces because of him, and Yoojin does not want this. Yoojin simply says that he doesn't care, but Yoojin cuts him off by changing the subject. Yoojin mentions how they should make the association bite the bait as he presses some keys on his phone. Yoojin looks over with curiosity as his brother makes a call to Taewon. Yoojin says that he called to confess about what happened earlier and that he made no one knock some of the hunters. Yoojin is shocked by his big bro's actions and asks what he is doing. Yoojin smiles as he drops the call and tells Yoojin that they should just get everything done so that they can repay the association's actions toward them. The following day, someone exclaims at how majestic the magic beast is. Blue flies as he enjoys the attention given to him by Yoojin, who is carrying Peace in one arm. Peace is truly well trained. He has mastered the craft of acting in front of others whenever necessary. The hosts introduce Yoojin in front of the cameras and compliment him for his ability to tame magic beasts. The female host asks if Yoojin has any secrets about raising them. Yoojin smiles as he responds that there is no real secret behind it, since what matters is consistent love and attention. Suddenly, someone affectionately calls for Yoojin, asking if he has lunch yet. The sudden appearance of a brightly smiling Yoojin surprises the others around them. Yoojin smiles in return, happy that his little bro is there. Lol. Peace is probably doing his best not to laugh his owner. The three of them suddenly start dancing around with blissful looks on their faces, or at least their attempt to look blissful. Yoojin suddenly points out that he is still filming live while Yoojin pretends to have only just noticed it. The hosts quickly welcome Yoojin to the show and comment on how different he is from what was shared in the news. Yoojin blushes at this and showcases his acting skills by saying he just wants to look dependable in front of the media. Those show subtitles are really cracking me up. The female host comments on how close the brothers are, and Yoojin says it is because they only have each other left in their family. Yoojin then announces how proud he is of his younger brother, but he still worries just the same. Yoojin pouts at this, saying there is nothing wrong with that since Big Bro practically raised him. Yep, that look of disbelief in Peace is priceless. Yoojin suddenly acts shy, saying how his brother can be rough sometimes. He explains that his brother is like that since he is worried for him, especially when he has to face high-ranking hunters due to the nature of his job as a magic beast tamer. Yoojin sheds some tears, feeling sorry that his brother is getting hated because of him. The hosts show surprise while Yoojin tries to stop his brother from saying such things. But Yoojin is still acting and even brings up the fact that he is only a fragile F-ranker. Yoojin quickly supports his brother's performance with his own. Yeah, literally two peas in a pod. They could scan the nation with their acting. Suddenly, a bulky man appears during this blatant display of their brotherly love. Taewon apologizes for the interruption, and even the show's staff are surprised by his sudden appearance. Just when Yoojin is about to ask why Taewon is there, Taewon suddenly shackles Yoojin in front of everyone. He announces that Yoojin is under arrest for harming 3 advanced hunters, and Yoojin acts all surprised. Yoojin then steps up as if saying some practiced lines, and even Peace acts surprised. You need to brush up on your acting skills. Yoojin then points out that his brother is an F class, so there is no way he could hurt those advanced hunters. The scene before the show's crew clearly baffles them, and they can only watch as this drama unfolds live on TV. Taewon clearly looks like he doesn't want to do this, while Yoojin has his head down. Away from suspecting eyes, Yoojin is grinning widely at how everything went according to his plan. He's truly cunning. Everyone's reaction to what happened during the live show was intense. People cannot help commenting about that different side of the Haeyeon Guildmaster, where he was genuinely smiling. But what made it more intense was the following scene, which was the arrest of Yoojin Han. In front of the camera, Yoojin's pale face is so apparent while looking at the shackles. He trembles with fear, while Taewon simply says that Yoojin can confess once they are in the station. Yoojin intervenes, saying that his brother could never do such a thing. He then looks at his big bro with shining eyes and tells him not to worry, for he will take care of this. Yoojin looks fondly at his brother and turns away with tears in his eyes. He says he cannot bother him with this since Yoojin is a guildmaster, and Yoojin lets Taewon take him away while acting hurt. Yoojin reaches out for his brother. Suddenly, someone shouts at Taewon not to be rough with Yoojin, for he is an F rank. Things are really getting intense for Taewon, that is. Manhwa and manhwa arrive at the scene just in time with tears in their eyes. Manhwa says Yoojin should not even be handcuffed for he is weak. Manhwa then comments on how the detention center is stuffy and will surely be worse with the summer season. Yoojin looks back at them with tears in his eyes. Just then, Blue appears on the scene, screeching. An auto-translation suddenly appears as if the Golden Griffin is asking his dad where he is going and who the bulky guy he is with is. Yoojin quickly crouches, hiding the shackles from Blue and shouting how his kids should not see him like that. Peace immediately intervenes, calling Blue over. Peace pats Blue on the head, saying how their dad is going away to work so he can buy a lot of treats for him. With his shining blue eyes, the Golden Griffin asks how many sleeps it will take until their dad returns. Peace trembles as he cries that he will be back someday. As long as Blue remains good and studies hard, then their dad will surely return. Trusting Peace's words, Blue promises to be good and says goodbye to his dad. As for Peace and Yoojin, the two laments with Yoojin's arrest. Tears fall down Yoojin's eyes as Taewon takes him away. Raffle. Taewon's face was indescribable the whole time. Since it was broadcast live, everyone is crying buckets at seeing this drama happen. The netizens left numerous comments regarding the issue, and some even started cursing the association and making protests regarding what happened. There is something most people do not know, and this is the rule of the 3 Bs. Its primary purpose is to catch people's attention. First is the beauty, who, in this case, are Yoojin and manhwa. Next is the beast, which is literally Peace and Blue. The last one, which was added the next day, is called the baity. Yara made sure to act her part by crying about how she wasn't there to protect Yoojin. She adds how worried she is if he is even being treated well and fed right in the cold detention center. Right at the moment, Yoojin burps as he relaxes in his seat. He is obviously full, yet it is also apparent that there is still a lot of food for him to enjoy. Yoojin offers some to Taewon while saying how he will leave that place fat because of the lunch boxes that Manhwa sent over. Taewon remains standing as he rejects the offer. Taewon tells Yoojin how his brother's reputation completely changed after what happened. As for the association, they are throwing a fit. Yoojin continues to eat as he honestly says that this is good. Taewon confronts Yoojin about how he never agreed for things to head in that direction. You should check the details first, mister. Yoojin looks up at him, saying that Taewon can't back out now since he has already agreed to work together to cut out the association's corrupt parts. Yoojin recalls how he suggested the plan by using his confession. This aims to make him the bait that will attract the rotten guys of the association. By coming out of his own security and doing his act, then those bad guys would not hesitate to make full use of this chance. The Hunter Detention Center is also a part of it since it falls under the KH's jurisdiction, making it the best place to get Yoojin for themselves. Taewon says that he did agree, but only to the part about ambushing those rotten guys who want to kidnap Yoojin and not the part about sowing distrust in the association. Completely relaxed, Yoojin slurps on his drink and says that it is just their karma. He adds that things would not have reached this point if the association had not initiated. Unable to reason with Yoojin, Taewon comments on their dramatic response and threatens to just stop everything by sending Yoojin back. This makes Yoojin pout and mentions how infuriating Taewon is. It's as stubborn as you, MC. Yoojin reminds Taewon how the association is forcing the opening of the Awakening Center despite being unprepared for the possible outcomes. Aside from this, they even have the gall to control the media to do their bidding and cover up the issue related to the MKC Guildmaster Seokwan Choi. Yoojin cannot help asking Taewon why he keeps siding with those guys despite being aware of all the BS they made. Yoojin thinks that this is precisely why Taewon died in his previous life. He continues his lecture about Taewon being a government employee, and as one, he must prioritize the people. Taewon smirks at this and tells Yoojin that if the association falls as he wishes, the S-rankers will cause havoc. Taewon holds back his anger as he says that those people that Yoojin mentioned will have to deal with those monsters in the form of humans. He then reminds Yoojin that though it is fine to have wishful thinking, it is still nowhere near the level of those S-rankers. Yoojin stares back, saying that it is Taewon who is mistaken. He explains how they never wanted the fall of the association. All they desire is to have them become normal. Yoojin takes another skewered kebab, saying that it did not used to be like that from the start, and it only changed when outsiders took higher positions within the association. He says that by getting rid of those rotten parts, they should be replaced with those who are experienced. Yoojin fondly looks at the stick he is holding, then shifts his eyes to Taewon. He claims that Taewon would be the most suitable person for the top position. Makes sense. After all, with great power comes great responsibility. The position suits an S-ranker like him. This only further angers Taewon, and he quickly grabs Yoojin by the collar. Yoojin expresses his amazement at Taewon's speed and asks if Taewon does not find it frustrating to bow down to those people when he obviously has more power. Yoojin reminds Taewon that he's an F-ranker, yet he does so much to create change. He encourages Taewon to be on top, and the other asks if this is only because he is an S-ranker. Taewon wants to know why Yoojin is urging him to take such a position. Yoojin responds that he desires world peace, and Taewon calls him out on his BS. Yoojin seriously looks back at Taewon, claiming he is speaking the truth. This is because Yoojin is well aware that the association's road to personal profit will only ensure that they would never be able to stop the dungeons or the world's end. Too bad our MC can reveal that he's a regressor. Yoojin believes that by placing trustworthy people in the association, they will have more chances of surviving. Yoojin knows that Taewon does not want to be responsible for having such powers. He recalls Taewon's words about how he should not be allowed that kind of authority. Taewon continuously denies it. Yoojin then seriously says that what he wants is for his brother to have an ordinary school life, have friends, start dating, get home like a mindless drunk after a night of fun, and get to scold Yoojin for it. Yoojin claims that he honestly wants that. He mentions how it was supposed to be him who teaches his younger brother about that, but that cannot happen now since Yoojin is an S-ranker who can never get drunk. Yoojin says that what he wants must be similar to what Taewon wants, a world with no gates and hunters, an ordinary world. Yoojin claims that they cannot actually turn back time to do that. Yep, MC already tried. Taewon stares at Yoojin and is about to say something but holds back instead. He lets go of Yoojin and gives him an alarm instead. Taewon turns to leave while telling Yoojin to press it once the kidnappers appear. Yoojin fixes his clothes, thinking how the world truly has changed. He knows that the wishful thinking of turning back time before these things appeared is clearly shown by Taewon's actions. It is apparent how he acts as if he is powerless, how he squeezes himself in a small car, takes the subway, or simply accepts how disgusting the association has become. Yoojin wants Taewon to accept the fact that he already has the power to do it. Give us Taewon's backstory to understand why he's acting like that. With those in mind, Yoojin stays quiet in the room he was given. A man opens the door to it and calls him to be moved to a different detention center. Yoojin simply agrees, leaving the alarm that Taewon gave him. Yoojin knows that they told Taewon that they would trigger the alarm so that they could ambush the kidnappers. But Yoojin did not do that. So, when Taewon arrives at Yoojin's assigned room, he finds the trigger he gave Yoojin. In his mind, Yoojin apologizes to Taewon for planning to get kidnapped and make the association irredeemable in the eyes of everyone. I hope their plan doesn't backfire on them. Yoojin calmly gets into the car without making a fuss. The man escorting him closes the door behind Yoojin and makes a call to report about how they are leaving now. Yoojin comments on how the vehicle is not a police car or even an escort bus. He then voices his thoughts, whether they are really not taking him somewhere weird. He jokingly asks about getting sold and mentions that he is a B-type, then asks his escorts for theirs. The driver simply tells him to be quiet, unrelenting. Yoojin starts rambling about how Yoo-hee-yoon is an AB type. A system window suddenly appears, announcing the activation of the physical injury curse for breaching the contract, but this is easily nullified by Yoojin's L-rank curse resistance. Yoojin smiles, thinking of how he made some curse contracts that could be his communication device before being purposely taken away. For these contracts, he informs his brother's guild of his current situation by intentionally violating a particular contract. Oh, that's ingenious. The conditions on those contracts can be considered innocent remarks. As for the contract that forbids the mention of blood type, it is to tell his brother that he made contact with the kidnappers. Above the moving car, Noah stealthily follows and reports through a communication device that he is currently tracking them and informs their movements and vehicles. In the Haeyeon Guild, Yoo-hee-yoon and the others look up the information Noah relays. Noah asks if this is really okay and asks if they should just take Yoojin immediately. His words stop when he sees Yoojin get out of the vehicle to meet another person. Noah reports the stop and is surprised when a woman touches Yoojin, and the two suddenly disappear. He quickly identifies that teleportation was used. With Yoojin's head on the floor, the woman atop him tells the others to grab Yoojin's equipment. Another person promises to be careful so that Yoojin won't get hurt. Yoojin observes his surroundings, identifying how he is in a plane, and he starts wondering who could be behind it. Yoojin gets stripped down and tells them to stop because doing more is equivalent to committing a crime. The woman taking his clothes reminds Yoojin that they have already committed a crime with his kidnapping. Yoojin continues to plead his case, telling them to leave the earring with him since it is defense equipment and reminding them that they wouldn't want him to get hurt. A bright light suddenly flashes above Yoojin, and Chirpy appears with a gleeful chirp. Oh, this bird has done it again. Everyone is surprised by the appearance of the small white bird ball. The woman questioningly asks if it is a monster. One of the other kidnappers comments how this is an F-rank monster that he saw online and then asks if Yoojin hid Chirpy in his clothes. Yoojin looks at Chirpy with confusion apparent on his face. He knows he left Chirpy at home and wonders if it can use teleportation. Yoojin cannot really check since the status window for Chirpy is broken. Chirpy suddenly deflates, and a growling comes out of its tummy. The confusion turns into worry, and Yoojin quickly shouts for some mana stone since Chirpy is about to die from starvation. He even asks them for a high-rank mana stone if they have any. For some reason, his captors comply and give up their expensive mana stones to feed Chirpy. Yoojin hides a grin, thinking Chirpy is effectively ripping off his kidnappers. Wow, our MC has become quite proficient in fooling bad guys into doing his bidding. The woman then says this is fine since they can just put this as an additional cost for the client. She reasons that having the magic beast with Yoojin will serve as a good decoration during the listing. Yoojin is confused and asks about the listing. The woman then grabs Yoojin's face, explaining how Yoojin isn't being moved to another detention center on a private jet. She tells him his destination is the auction, where numerous powerful people will attend. Right then, those people are gathering just to purchase him. She adds that Yoojin will soon be sold secretly and labeled as missing forever. Yoojin's face darkens, commenting on how scary his kidnappers are. He can only reassure himself that his location is being tracked since he also made preparations in case such a thing happens. Back in Haeyeon Guild, Ha-min-do uses his skill to track Yoojin with the urging of Yoo-hee-yoon. Yerim is also right behind him, commenting on how talented Yoojin's friend is. To have two S-rankers behind him, Ha-min has no choice but to do as told. Yoojin looks at his captors and asks where he is being taken. At the same time, Ha-min determines Yoojin's location, which happens to be Hong Kong. Night comes and the bright lights of Hong Kong sparkle. A black limousine smoothly drives on the road, and within it is Yoojin, who is thinking about how his first trip overseas occurred because of a kidnapping. On top of that, a man with round glasses welcomes Yoojin, telling him to be comfortable. Yoojin continues to hold Chirpy in his hands, and he doesn't know how to react to the fact that they are in a limousine with his captor. Wearing those handcuffs and being transported in a limo, it's definitely a weird combo. Yoojin asks the guy if he is the mastermind of his kidnapping. The man continues to smile and explains that he is just the middleman. Henry Gregson describes himself as a manager who earns money by finding valuable awakened. Yoojin cannot be fooled by such nice words, knowing clearly that it is human trafficking of the awakened. Henry explains how Hong Kong has common dungeon breaks because of the enormous population despite the little land it covers. Aside from this, the mainland has taken many high rankers from Hong Kong. This may have lessened the place's popularity, but Henry claims it is still the best place for international gatherings. He adds how this is the land of opportunities for people like them. It's the criminal's nonsense reason talking. Yoojin doesn't feel any sorrow for what Henry just shared and merely thinks that the place makes it convenient for them to do unlawful activities. Henry gives off an evil smile as he admits his expectations of Yoojin having the highest bid for the auction and wishes him a good memory of it. Yoojin pales at the suggestive tone and starts worrying about how he will be cruelly treated by his captors. He then reassures himself using his earrings and the fact that Yunhei is in his inventory. But unlike what Yoojin imagined, the shackles are gone, and he is now in a posh 5-star hotel suite. First, the limo, now the suite. What nefarious plan are you hatching here? Henry tells Yoojin to make himself comfortable, making the F-ranker question if this is really okay. His captor assures him it is fine since they don't need to be hostile against an F-ranker like Yoojin. Henry adds that Yoojin should be in his best shape for the auction. As if that wasn't enough, he encourages Yoojin to use the facilities offered in that hotel. The only catch is that a guard will be staying by his suite's door, so he should make an attempt to escape. Left alone in his luxurious suite, Yoojin looks around. As he thinks of making memories, he breaks another contract and his curse resistance activates. This one indicates that he has safely arrived at his destination. Yoojin overlooks the fact that he will be auctioned and decides to only return once they have complete hold of those rotten people from the association. He makes the most of the suite by enjoying the drinks, relaxing in a bubble bath with Chirpy, and enjoying delicious food while thinking about how he will make the best of his situation by indeed making memories of his vacation. Lol. In the end, he's getting that vacation he really needs. Like what he is used to, Yoojin watches the news on TV about how he is missing despite how people are already complaining regarding the KHA. It also states that this current situation creates a loss for the country. Yoojin is calm as he sees this since things are going according to plan at the moment. He thinks of the following steps, where Noah will pick him up once everyone involved is identified, how he will just disappear, and proceeds to curse at the auction. He happily opens up a covered plate and sees a note saying there is a change in their plans. Yoojin wonders about the note when someone rings the doorbell to his suite. Yoojin stands to open it and finds the CC-on guildmaster saying he brings fresh fruit juice. Yoojin quickly closes the door on he and Jay. But the guildmaster is obviously stubborn and rings the doorbell again. Exasperated, Yoojin opens the door and yells at he and Jay, asking if he is cooperating with his captors. He and Jay only smiles and claims that he is merely a guest. He and Jay enters the suite while Yoojin complains about how he is always treated as if he is an item. Yet now, he and Jay has gone so low and even became part of an underground syndicate. He and Jay ignores such accusations and assures Yoojin that he is not involved in such mere transactions. You prefer deals that involve losing a limb or those with higher stakes. He and Jay looks back at Yoojin with a smile, saying he's sure that Yoon and Yerim are already aware of his presence in that place and must have infiltrated it already. He and Jay finally gets to the point of his visit, saying he is there to ask Yoojin for a favor. And for this favor, he will use one of the 3 favors Yoojin owes him for getting Noah. He and Jay holds out his hand and says he wants Yoojin to add one more thing to their current plan. Yoojin looks at he and Jay with a frown, thinking of how shameless he is for appearing out of the blue and asking for a favor. It is another new day in Hong Kong, and Yoojin comments on how he doesn't mind getting taken if he gets treated like royalty. He marvels at the fact that he even has an infinity pool, all for himself while lounging beside it. At that moment, Chirpy is actually enjoying the lazy life by floating in the pool. Yoojin is happy that the round bird is also enjoying and wonders if this is why people go out of their way to have staycations. A voice speaks behind him, calling his attention to his mango juice. Yoojin says his thanks and looks back, only to be surprised. The server comments on how Chirpy really is there with him and greets Yoojin. Removing her glasses, Yerim is glad to see Yoojin doing well despite getting taken. Clearly taken aback, Yoojin asks why she is just there with a pair of glasses as her disguise. He comments that it is a terrible choice, since she will be easily recognized. Well, she and her glasses fit in since all the guards near the pool are all wearing glasses. Yerim explains that others won't really recognize her since the glasses she is wearing are actually made by Myung-woo. It is an item that lets the wearer borrow the appearance of another person. She also adds how she put one of the employees to sleep to borrow her appearance with Noah's help. At least they don't need to drink something disgusting like the Polyjuice potion. Yoojin informs Yoojin of the plan to infiltrate the auction as buyers, and mentions how everyone prepared a lot despite the short time. She then asks Yoojin how the Sibling guildmaster got there, and Yoojin sips his juice as he recalls what happened the previous night. Jae tells how he got an invitation to the auction while Yoojin eats his dinner. The Sibling guildmaster explains how the invitation sender mentioned looking up the valuable item they have for sale. Even without saying much, it is evident that the item being referred to is our MC. Yoojin asks if it is normal for Jae to receive such invitations. Jae explains how it is actually his other identity who got the invite and adds that having few other identities is convenient. If he says it that way, maybe Jae disappeared using another alias in Yoojin's previous life. Jae continues to explain how the auction is typically attended by the awakens with power instead of hunter guilds. To ensure their identity's safety, they would usually send a substitute. So Jae's case is sending the Sibling guildmaster as his identity's substitute. Yoojin looks at Jae skeptically as he wonders how Jae's other identity is impressive and influential enough to receive invitations to such a thing. Seeing as he has really no say on such a matter, Yoojin continues eating and wishes Jae luck since he has no plans to stay for the auction. Jae speaks up and says that he is actually hoping Yoojin will be in the auction. Yoojin is so surprised that the favor the Sibling guildmaster wants is for him to be sold. Jae assures him that he'll bid and buy him if it ever happens. He then explains that Yoojin will be the honeypot. Aside from catching the rotten side of the association, it will also be removing the root of hunter trafficking. Jae then assures Yoojin that he's a superior rank bait. Jae really has a high regard for our MC from being treated as a high rank item. Now he's also a high rank bait. Going back to the present, Yoojin asks if they will also be taking care of those criminals. She then says how she never expected the Sibling guildmaster to be such a stickler for justice. Yoojin says otherwise, and Jae might only be doing it so that they would stop pestering him. He adds that buying and selling are no fun, so Jae prefers eradicating them. Aram comments on how dramatic it is just to get over it, but her sense of justice is up there as well, and she asks if they should just help get rid of everyone in the auction. Yoojin chokes on his drink and scolds Yoojin for thinking such things despite being a middle schooler. He then tells her not to worry about it, for he is calling backup, which he recently added to their plan. Yoojin asks about it, so Yoojin explains what Yoojin should do during that time. Yoojin agrees to get rid of the trash of society. Though he's also a victim, he has no plans to stay docile and intends to make a huge mess of everything. That night, Henry tells him to get ready to head up and comments on how the clothes suit Yoojin. Aha! So why is he wearing handcuffs again? Chirpy flies around his dad as Yoojin voices his worry about wearing such clothes. Henry assures him it is fine since it suits the occasion. He explains how vast amounts of money are exchanged in that place since powerful people are in attendance to purchase dungeon goods, magic beasts, and even hunters bound by contracts. Yoojin thinks that it really is the worst upon hearing that explanation. Henry tells Yoojin that he is the main character of that day, and the auction is all meant for this. He then says there will also be a performance that will get attention before the auction. Yoojin deadpans that he might try aiming for the wealthiest person and best owner possible while he's at it. Henry says he is sure Yoojin will be treated well either way. Aha, do you have such experience that you can say such things? He then directs Yoojin to step on an intricately designed circle. As they do so, the platform rises and bright lights greet them in the actual auction. Henry then greets the guests and presents the last precious item of the auction. Yoojin and Chirpy are shaken by the loud cheers. Yoojin looks down the stage where people with masks mingle in their formal clothes, talking about how S-rankers always protect him. Henry announces him as the world's only magic beast tamer and his recently publicized ability to assess an unawaken's potential rank. Hearing this, some guests observe that the bird with Yoojin is also a magic beast. Henry continues that having him means a change in the balance of power. Another guest mentions that the bidding price starts at 10 billion and wonders how much it will increase. It's literally a banquet of rotten apples. But Yoojin ignores all those words, for he is focused on the magic beasts and the hunters locked up in cages. So when Henry announces his name, Yoojin grabs the microphone from him and says how disgusting everyone there is, now that he sees them. And even Chirpy agrees to this. The guests fall silent, and Yoojin comments on how surprised they are to find that an item can speak. He reminds them that he is a human like them, even if he is being sold right now. Henry smiles as he lets Yoojin speak up. Yoojin says that even in that current situation, he does not want to be sold just to anyone. If they consider his skills, it would not be conducive when one is forced to be sold to another. So, for his auction, Yoojin announces that he is adding a rule with Henry Gregson's agreement. Oh, this must be the performance Henry is talking about. Before he can further explain, someone calls out his arrogance. A rich woman reminds him of his situation and that he is only an item for that auction. It's not like he wanted to be treated like an item. Yoojin sees that his plan is effective somehow, seeing that this woman is just complaining without a filter. He then says that he is the only item like that in that world, so having this much should be right. The woman rebuts that she does not consider Yoojin as a special item. The woman then goes on about how Yoojin goes into dungeons and returns with a tamed magic beast. Still, his owner must invest in feeding and caring for the magic beast. On top of that, she thinks that having an owner's token is plain bothersome. The other guests start to agree, and one even comments on how Yoojin is even uglier than his younger brother. This irks Yoojin, and he just thinks to himself how they should not just buy him then, and his face has nothing to do with his ability anyway. As if to clear things up for the woman, Yoojin explains how just because a tamer went into the wild, it does not mean that he would just return with a tamed tiger. The woman refuses to back down, saying his attitude is precisely the problem, so he should stop acting as if he is exceptional. She then reminds him how he will easily die if thrown in the dungeon. Why don't we try doing that to you first? Then, as if to prove her point, she points to the magic beast behind her and releases it from its cage. This action surprises Yoojin and everyone else in the auction. The crazy woman continues, challenging Yoojin to tame the magic beast she just released to prove himself valuable. This woman seriously needs to be taught a lesson. The ostrich-like magic beast runs towards Yoojin, ignoring the other guests. Henry quickly calls on the guards to do something, just when the magic beast is about to reach him. Yoojin thinks of how he needs Yunhei or his earring to protect him from the charging beast. An old person's hand suddenly reaches out to Yoojin, and a huge explosion happens on the stage. As the smoke dissipates, the guests are all dumbfounded when they find an old man holding back the magic beast. Yoojin is just behind the old man. Henry is equally surprised and asks how the old guest, Sir Ian Holton, stopped the magic beast despite not having awakened. Ian Holton, an auction participant, is actually trembling as he holds off the magic beast with only one hand. He then looks back at Yoojin, saying how he should not have allowed him to act as bait, and calls him Big Brother. Yoojin is initially taken aback, but he quickly identifies the old man to be actually his younger brother. Yoon is also wearing the disguise of an old man using the glasses Mian Wu created. Woohoo! Here comes Lil Bro to the rescue.